Thank you very much. Good afternoon. You just had energy, right? I hope you are not sleeping, right? So, good afternoon. Not audible, yeah. Yes, that's the spirit. So, because I would like to make sure that you are not asleep and you are able to hear what we are talking about here. I think today is a very, very interesting and important topic in this dynamic world where we are saying and we are witnessing huge investments and huge build from the hyperscale side. And one of the very important aspect of data center is connectivity. And if the data center is not connected, it is dumb. It doesn't have any meaning. So, and this important topic is not about just the local connectivity. We are talking about the global connectivity, local connectivity all put together. So we have with us very experienced panelists, and I'm really honored and proud to be moderating this session. And I have with me Mr. Uttam, who is CEO Sprint Telecom India Private Limited, having huge experience in telecom domain. We have Mr. Suresh Narayanan. He's mentor and executive director for GSUS Star Technologies, who has worked himself for long years in this particular domain, including the topic what I'm talking about. And the today's topic is hyperscale and future of subsea cable investments. So how subsea cables investments are changing with investment on the hyperscale data center. So before we get into the discussion, I just would like to have a small intro from my panelist. I would request Uttam to start with.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Then you go.
Good afternoon, everyone. And thanks, Mr. Singh, for the introduction. An honor to be sitting here in front of you to discuss what we think is a pretty important topic, which influences how the telecom industry in general, the hyperscaler investments in general, and global connectivity is headed. Uh, I work for Cogent Internet India Private Limited, which is a part of a global ISP called Cogent. We are one of the largest ISPs in the world and present in 58 countries, including in India. And we've got great dependency on these subsea cable systems and kind of very, very interested in how the dynamics play out with regard to subsea cable investments in general. So looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you, N.K. Singh, sir. Thank you, Uttam. Good afternoon to all. So my name is Suresh Narayanan. So I am in the field near about 30 years in telecom field, and today topic is very interesting topic, which is related to I started my career with subsea cable. So hyperscaler as well as versus telecom operators. That is the questions today we are having the headings. So this heading will be very easy, and who is going to win? That answer will be N.K. Singh will be delivered in the end of this meeting. Oh, really happy. So I am representing. I got rated from Geo. So I have with Geo with the 3 tickets. So Reliance, not Geo, only Reliance. So I was with Geo near about 30 years plus. And now I started my own organization, which Edge Data Center, as well as we are maintaining the Tamil Nadu government cable, as well as we are in the process of ISP and P1 service provider in Tamil Nadu. And P1 will be all over India we are doing, and we are in the EV system also. From my part of my IIT experience, I am the panelist for in IIT EV charging station research divisions. Okay, so thank you. Over to you, NK Singh. Sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. So as I was talking in the morning itself in one of my session, that knowledge is one aspect, but what is that experience you have around that knowledge is important. And I'm repeating this again, but I'm really happy that we have in our panel two so experienced people who has worked hard on the specific subject. And I'll go to Uttam. So in this scenario, how the subsea cable investments are typically changing based on a data center hyperscale environment which is coming in the data center. So how do you see the change in the dynamics overall?
So just stepping back a little bit, traditionally, subsea cable systems were all consortium-led. Multiple, so going back to the days when telecom companies were all monopolies owned by the respective governments, all of these telecom companies would get together, form a consortium to buy undersea cables to connect globally, right? Now that continued even after all of these economies liberalized and telecom companies went private. So there is a case to be made for consortium-led telecom cable, so undersea cable purchases. Now, there's also a downside to it, right? The downside is the bureaucracy involved. Multiple administrations will have to get together, and telecom companies in general are a little tight-fisted when it comes to funding these infrastructure rollouts. Now, that is not something that the hyperscalers want to see. That's not the world that the hyperscalers come into, right? So there is now an increasing trend towards hyperscalers coming in and saying, I have the funds, I want to go in and buy my own cable system, right? So they're setting up their own cable systems, and they're completely disrupting the traditional playbook in terms of how subsea cable systems were laid out. Now, it'll be a while before, as Dr. Suresh mentioned, it'll be a while before we identify the winners and losers here, but certainly what's happening now is there's a tremendous amount of investment going into privately owned subsea cable systems. We're seeing a lot of these hyperscalers. In fact, all of the big hyperscalers have made investments in their own cable systems. And these are purpose-built, connecting their own compute clusters or cloud regions, right? So that's really where the disruption is happening. Now, this is driven by a lot of factors. The economic side is that today the hyperscalers want something that that drives their business effectively, and they don't want to depend on a bureaucratic consortium that's rolling out the cable. They as opposed to years of rollout, they want rollout in, let's say, 10 to 12 months, because their business depends on it. And so that is really what is evolving today. It'll be a while again before there'll be a steady state, but what we're seeing is close to $13 billion have been spent on subsea cable systems in the last couple of years, and a lot of it is coming from hyperscalers, private investments from hyperscalers.
So thanks, Uttam, for your inputs. You state that traditionally this particular business was dominated or being handled by the telecom operators, right? From internally and even from the subsea side of it. Now you are saying with the hyperscaler coming in, we are saying huge investment by hyperscaler himself, and whether they are investing directly or they are through some consortium and all. But end of the day, it is actually breaking the traditional system what we used to have. So, Suresh ji, the next question is why the hyperscalers are doing it? Why it is required for them to do their investment themselves or create a consortium? Why can't telecom operator which is existing today, they can be able to deliver? such
Yes.
requirements?
Yes, sir, there is a good question. See, if you are taking that olden days, not even olden days, now telecom operators, how they are constructing this subsea cable, they are joining with all multiple countries operators joining together, and they made a subsea cable consortium, and they are bringing to one CLS station, and they're sharing the bandwidth. So this is normal internet traffic. So this internet traffic will be useful for web browsing as well as normal internet browsing as well as bank statement, etc. The slow speed, but where the latencies is not much there. But nowadays that Google, Amazon, as well as the way of we are daily we are going through the speed of traffic in that websites or that their commercial sites. So it is huge bandwidth is required and low latency is required. So this way of expectation, so means for example YouTube. So what we are expecting whenever we are taking the YouTube channel, we are making some video. So immediately we are putting the clip and we are expecting it is to be displayed in the YouTube next seconds. So those type of these things. So the speed and low latencies and that quality, those things will not be not much there in what we expected from the telecom operators. So the hyperscalers what they are expecting, so they have some dedicated cable and they are putting dedicated bandwidth connected to the data centers where they can take this type of traffic to using their own bandwidth. So this is basically the main motive of this one. So basically the telecom operator what they are doing, they are renting that road. Means for example in the layman language if you are talking, this is renting the road, this one. These people are putting dedicated road for themselves. That's a difference. This it. That's
So
the
why,
thing.
my question remains the same. Why? Is it a monetary challenge issue or is it a ability of delivery issue?
Yes, this is cost also involved in this. So if I'm going for my own, it will help me to have it without any sharing that cost bandwidth as well as speed and latency and quality of service.
Okay, okay. Thank you. So now moving next is obviously when we talk about hyperscale, what is changing is typically the workloads. So earlier we used to have enterprise workloads. Now it become cloud workloads, and now we are talking about AI workloads, right? So obviously the big change in the technology and adaptation of technology by larger masses organizations. These data center demand, size, and scale things are changing. So, how do you see the change in your subsea cable or the network side of it, or even the global connectivity what exists today, uh, to cope up with the requirement of AI and cloud workloads?
Yeah. So if we look at the what is happening today, there is an unprecedented increase, an exponential increase in data traffic globally, right? Initially the cloud services started the process. AI is just kind of multiplied it manifold. So the entire dynamic of what that global traffic has changed. Traditional traffic was customer traffic. Traditional subsea cables carried customer traffic distribution, right? Consumer to consumer traffic was just distributed using subsea cables. With AI, it's machine to machine synchronization traffic at enormous scale. And the subsea cables, the traditional subsea cables are not really geared to carry that much scale of traffic. And that's really where the new rollouts of hyperscale subsea cables are really driven. Now, the important dynamic there is, again, traditionally, cables used to connect countries, so or continents, right? So you would connect India to Singapore, you'd connect India to France. The hyperscalers are connecting their cloud regions. The hyperscalers connecting AI compute locations. So there is a very specific source and destination for that connectivity. It's not a very generalized use case that the hyperscalers are going after. And that is really something that's really changed things around. And so there is, the hyperscalers also, the new traffic also requires high performance, high degree of redundancy, low latency, and tremendously high bandwidth density. And those are the things that really are driving strategic priorities on how these subsea cables will be rolled out on a moving forward basis. And as we move forward, whether it's a consortium mode or a privately held mode, the subsea cables in the manner in which they're rolled out will definitely change. And they'll change to address this, the AI and the cloud traffic that have completely different demands of the infrastructure.
Thanks, Uttam. But my question is again remains the same in terms of workloads are changing, technologies are changing. This is something which is not new. It has been evolving for ages together, right? So workloads where we came from AS400 like text-based kind of system to graphic-based interface, then cloud-based, and we are talking about AI-based. So obviously the technologies are changing, and based on that, the things are. But is there any other way why hyperscaler are investing into this particular area? Because if AI workloads requirements, they need low latency, they need high bandwidth, they need more connectivity. It is more of an implementation side of it. Do you need synchronization into it? Do you need uh, other aspect of build? So which telco can also be able to do. But only thing is, or there is a money or investment challenges which hyperscaler has money to invest, telco doesn't have money to invest. And if hyperscaler is investing, so my question to Suresh ji, are they doing it for some other reasons? Are they trying to bargain in terms of the requirement of what they are investing, bargaining with telco guys, bargaining on the global connectivity platform? Because when you own the connectivity across the global aspect of it, whether it is privately or by what's called consortium based, then the repercussions can be many. So can you be able to elaborate that aspect, which is because I feel this is very, very important aspect of
Exactly. So
the subsea cable.
and in case I agreed your point, the power sharing is little bit changing now. Previously, it is power was shared by only telecom operators, so they will be having control on their cable landing system. And if you want bandwidth, international bandwidth, if you want, you have to ask the telecom operators. They will deciding how much bandwidth can be given, and they will take their own sweet time. And the latency, those things are came in the picture when Amazon started here. So they also faced a lot of problem on that. So nowadays, what this hyperscalers are doing, so they're having some dedicated fiber, so which will give more dedicated bandwidth to them and low latencies. And there is no the what type of traffic what they are generating today, the traffic is more than the telecom operator traffic. So some not all telecom operators, some of the telecom operator traffic. So their traffic is more than existing telecom operator traffic is more than that. So this hyperscaler, Amazon, Google, Meta, so those gentlemen, what they are doing, they are making their own traffic in their own way. So it will help them to bring uh, quality of the network. Their customer will be happy, and they will ensure that their load latencies and the customer is not feeling they are depending on any other service provider. This Google is depending on telecom operator like that. So this will help them to bring more synergy in the system. And more than that, this hyperscalers will be giving AI based the traffic also very easily. They can carry in the foreign countries and across the globe. So there was a many things. But the challenge is what the telecom operator do. The telecom operator will have their own standard. For example, they should have maintained their local connectivities, last mile connectivities, as well as they have to maintain that government related things which is to be approval, everything. So this will come under all telecom operators. So basically they have to work together to win these games. So hyperscalers, they can carry their own traffic with without any disturbance from other involvements. That's the main thing.
Can I just add to that?
Yeah, sure.
So the only thing that I'd add is, so we only talking about the subsea cable, which is the wet part, right? The telco expertise in the dry part cannot really be replaced. For multiple reasons. One is the telcos so by dry part, what I mean is the terrestrial segment. The cable has to land at a beach somewhere and then has to be hauled to the data center, and that is something that the local telco will do. And they've been doing that for ages, so that's really not going to be disrupted at all. So, and also in most regulated economies, the telcos have a control over the cable landing station. The gateway is actually regulated and they control it. So in a lot of ways, this becomes kind of a relationship where you're forced into working with each other, and therefore the consortium approach will continue, but it may not necessarily be the traditional consortium.
So, what is the impact of all this? One part is the investment and setting that subsea cable infrastructure and global connectivity. Obviously, it is going to impact multiple digital hubs, what he was talking about, availability zones for the cloud, availability zones for AI. Obviously, there would be availability zones in the country, in different cities. There can be also on the continent basis or country basis. How do you see this particular thing coming out globally from the perspective of this investment, how these digital hubs are going to come? Who is going to control?
Yeah, again, because of the flexibility that the hyperscalers have with these private investments, they can figure out where they want to land the cable. And so I'm talking on a global basis. Rather than connecting countries to countries, the new way is to connect cloud regions to cloud regions or AI compute clusters to AI compute clusters. So that is changing where these investments are being made, especially where it lands in a specific geography. And when such investments are made, naturally such investments are magnets for further upstream investment in data centers, for example, because data centers are going to come up close to where the cables are landing. And if one cable lands, chances are that more cables will land in the same location. So, and once a cable lands, the local economy improves, and there is an impact. So digital hubs are going to congregate around these cable landing stations, and cable landing stations are going to be built around these digital hubs. So both these dynamics work, and therefore it's a win-win for everybody. And there is going to be more employment generated because obviously there is more investment going into not just the cable landing station, but also the infrastructure to support the data centers and the compute environments.
So thanks, Uttam. So whatever dynamics which is happening across India and across the globe, so we can't control, obviously, but it is also very, very necessary to see how these telco operators or associated organizations who is working on that, they are going to adapt themselves for this changing environment and leverage this growth rather than uh, getting what I would say uh, concealed by whatever things are going. I mean, they can also take it positively, adapt themselves, and leverage for their business growth overall.
Exactly. So your question is very clear. So how this telecom operator is going to survive? Like that's okay. Okay. So that is good. This hyperscale. See, previously telecom operator, how they are giving, they will be giving voice as well as they are giving bandwidth. That's all. And they will. I think hope you remember when the BSNL we are given telephone line minimum, they will take 1 month to give that connectivity. Okay, so after that also we have to go and beg the lineman so to get the line. So nowadays it is not there. So they are selling even FTTX or FTTX cable in the road. So you can anywhere you can purchase the connectivity now telephone. So that way they have to bring it. So previously they're making there was monopoly on the systems. Now this after this hyperscaler comes, the telecom operator they have to change themselves to ensure that they are giving edge infrastructure very correct manner, and they are AI based operating systems where they can bring the network in quality way, and they have to collaborate with hyperscaler team also. So like they have to give connectivity to the data center where they giving an edge data center that will be connectivity from edge data center to the main data center with local cable operators, means that MSP, telecom service provider in India. So this way they can help it. Both are equal to give and take. See now, for example, in India, near about 17 cable landing stations are there. 17, 14 plus. That is same cable landings on multiple operators are there. So in this service, all this land based service is given by the telecom operators. So basically, the telecom operator will not go away from this. So they have to succeed. Without telecom operator, hyperscaler can't do anything. Without hyperscaler, the telecom operator also can't move further in future way.
But some point of time, telco were also thinking that hyperscalers see what they will do in the subsea area.
So
But they entered into it. Now, when the things goes up and get matured, so tomorrow AI is not successful till your end-to-end connectivity things are there, which is a mobile connectivity or the fiber connectivity. If again have the same problem of latency and other things, then they will say, okay, let me invest here also. So it's, are you seeing a major risk in terms of, they coming out and, grabbing everything together
no, that is
with
good,
the
sir.
money power?
I agree, sir. That is government rules and regulation also they are involved in this. So it will not be easy to merge both the things. Entertainment will be entertainment. So the entertainment will not get into that our day-to-day calling businesses. That is difference.
So another part is we always talk about uh, data sovereignty, data protection. We have a data protection law also. So when we talk about connectivity and where we are connected globally in the multiple countries, cities, continents, and all those stuff, and these are all multinational based outside. And when we talk about all these applications, and you might be hearing also, the future is all information warfare. If you have informations, there are automations built in. You use AI, then use your robotics, and the impacts are big from that perspective. So obviously, in our government, there are certain regulations. There are regulatory like TRI, which takes care of it. But how do you see the overall risk from the perspective of our informations going, I will not say unnecessarily, by intentionally by somebody taking some data or information which is not required to be going outside, and it is taken because it is becoming kind of a seamless, right? So how are we protecting ourselves?
Yes, sir. This is a very important question. So actually, it is giving more eye-opening to all the people. So that's the reason most our government is more insisting more data center opening in India. So if you're seeing most of the data center nowadays coming in India because of this is also one of the main reason for that. So the government is putting pressure on all these people, says that our data should not go out of our countries. So that was the main reason, and that there was regulatory authorities also there. So they are also controlling that how the data is moving out of India, and how what is to be done, and if the data is going out of countries, that regulatory authorities is taking care of this.
So we have all the
Yes,
controls,
control mechanism
right?
is this. Control mechanism.
Because in our last session we were talking about the fintech,
Uh,
where the frauds are ahead of
So
us.
the fraud is entirely
So we,
different. So fraud is entirely different from these issues. That is our day to day, even if you are making some Google Pay, also something will happen. So that is different. So
And in addition to that, I will go to Uttam. You are also seeing this war which is happening, and we are also seeing the impact of it, consequences of it, and we have started feeling it also. I think. Uh, then in that kind of a scenario, because war is not now, tomorrow it may come up any point of time. So when we talk about such kind of infrastructure, ownership, stakes, roles, responsibility, and accountability of the entire thing which goes into. So, how do you see this particular thing framing up in this scenario?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's something that is an evolving discussion, right? The biggest challenge for regulators is how do you ensure information security? There is, the doomsayers say that the next war will not be fought on the ground, it will be fought in the computers, right, on the network. So things like the data protection laws, data localization laws, things like, and that's really another point where you won't find hyperscalers who are essentially multinational entities starting to own up even the domestic segment of the telecom network, because the telecom network will continue to be regulated for the most part, and
Within our boundaries.
within our boundaries, yes. And the national telcos have a responsibility to monitor and ensure that the data protection principles are followed. And they work very closely with the government to ensure that all monitoring systems are in place, and the government can kind of call on the telcos at any time to kind of shut down networks and things like that. So there is, and that's not a perfect solution yet, but that's an evolving, and as systems get more and more sophisticated, both on the negative side, on the dark side, and on the technology side, on the legal side of things, it's a constant race to stay ahead and keep the country safe. So there's a lot of move towards sovereign cloud environments and things like that, but it's not really going to stop information exchange across boundaries, because we are becoming a boundaryless economy. So there has to be a balance.
Just, okay.
I'll add it about this war you are mentioning. So in India, if you are seeing 60% of our traffic, internet traffic is going via west directions, and 40% of west towards west directions. So 40% of going east directions. So Chennai is little bit blessed, so because it is going on east directions. So Bombay, Mumbai is going west direction maximum. So if anything happen, what in the Iran, Israel, this also. Hope I can tell this one. So in this war, so we will be affecting 90% of our internet traffic, because that most of the traffic is going via that route. So that's the reason they are motivating Kolkata also in this one, and a lot of new CLS cable landing station also they are bringing. So basically this war, this cable where it is going, not only crude oil, it is our internet also. If it is internet getting is affected, it will affect all our day-to-day activities also. That is important.
Another part, the risk for the investors also, because
Exactly.
recently we have seen in the war, Iran attacked a lot of locations on the data centers, and they were also saying we will attack the subsea cables also. So it is again a major risk for them whenever they're investing big into it. So how do you see that?
So in this that route, our cable is near about 11 path is going on that route. Sir. So near about 11 path. So it may get 60%.
They can attack only one, they will still.
So still we can survive something, but not the latency will increase. So
Okay.
automatically all this data center will have some effect on this.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. And I think it kind of plays into that hyperscaler private investment playbook, because The most important thing is business continuity. They interest in business continuity. Nations are interested in sovereignty. And ultimately, unless we build redundancy, resiliency in all of this infrastructure, all of this goes waste. So the constant effort is to ensure that your networks stay up. There is always a backup path available and investments. So, and hyperscaler investments are only going to help in that regard, and will continue. That's only a step in the right direction in that sense.
But one thing is very clear, which we have seen, is whoever has got the power rules, right? So if the key installations and the key infrastructure is owned by companies across the globe, and it can impact us because they can close the tap at any point of time, and then where we will be. Like similarly in India also, we have got so much of technology which is from outside itself. Once he closed, एक दिन उसने Android close कर दिया, तो काम खत्म. Windows close कर दिया, काम खत्म. So obviously this is out of the panel questions, but this is something which I think is we need to, in India, we need to really invest into it, and the big business houses in India has to look into in the R&D, take the leading position in the technology rather than just piggybacking or earning money out of it. That's what I feel as a small man in India. And with this, I would like to. Do you have time? Okay. So, if we have time, I can take some questions from the audience.
One question is, we are talking about subsea cable investments. Now there are a lot of things happening on the data center in space. So I think pretty related. So wanted to have your views.
So, yeah, yeah. So, there has been research which is happening on data center in space. So, we already have space station is a reality, and which we see. Data center space is work on. Uh, I have not seen the actual scenario which is being deployed. It is a test conditions which is there. Similarly, another test condition was with the undersea data center, which was done by HP, and after 5-7 years, they scrapped that project. So, without giving much of the technical regions, they said it didn't work, then it's scrapped out of it. So, these are all evolving stages, and tomorrow we don't know how this technology shapes up, and how we are running the entire technology on the silicon chips today. Tomorrow may be possible that we talk about those technology on your bio chips or tissues. We don't know. So obviously we have to keep on seeing and also keep on adapting whatever is available and going ahead with it. Any other question before I summarize?
Now with the subsea cables and all those things, hyperscalers, cloud, so there is a OpEx cost is going up. And there are quite a few organizations now we are thinking get back to the ground, which is on track. So that also will have some kind of impact because hyperscalers are investing big time in subsea cables. But people are slightly started going away from hyperscalers from cloud to the on-prem. So that also should have an impact. So wanted to hear your views.
I agreed your point, but subsea cable means they're not going to put any dedicated cable now. So whatever the cable is already laid, those unused cable also they are selling. Means existing telecom operators, they are selling for IRU based or long term basis they are giving to them. So which they will not have any roll on touching the data. Means there is a dedicated fiber to them. It will go from there. So the last mile even connectivity is given by the telecom operators. I don't want to mention the name, just you can understand. Okay.
Just to add to that, what happens is we're now going through a hype cycle, right? And there's a tremendous amount of investment coming in. Hyperscalers are now, they're flush with funds. The traditional telco operators do not have the kind of financial muscle to be able to build infrastructure to keep up with the hyperscaler demand. Hyperscalers have enough money, so they're investing. Now, when the hype cycle runs out and business gets into steady state, that is when you determine whether these investments were paying off or not. And that's really when the question that you raised becomes more relevant. And so when we talk about hyperscaler investments, we're only talking about the top four or five names, right? There are the new hyperscalers are all the neo clouds. The neo clouds don't have the wherewithal to build their own subsea cables. So they will get into a different kind of a consortium. Telcos will play in that. So it'll be interesting to see how things pan out in the future. But yes, that's an interesting way of looking at who the winners are, like Dr. Suresh mentioned.
Obviously, winners, it is a win-win kind of a situation, then only the business works. One win, one lose doesn't work for long-term perspective. But at the same time, it also works. Whoever has got the power overall, you built up, and then you start leveraging or in a positive way or negative way, whatever, but that can happen. So, with the limitation of time, I would like to just summarize the discussion. So, we discussed about what is the impact of uh, hyperscale growth in India on subsea cable investment. Then we observed there has been a lot of investment done directly by hyperscale player instead of telcos, which was traditionally be their domain. And still on land within the boundaries, all the connectivity is owned by telcos, but on subsea side of it, with the time, this ownership and controls are being taken care by hyperscaler itself now. So we also discussed about why they are doing so. So we talked about the technical requirement in terms of performance, latency, and meeting their technological requirement or the service requirements, what we talked about. We also talked about as we are becoming connected to the global world and connected to a third party hubs on the data center in terms of AI hubs or cloud hubs, internally and externally out of the country. And we are also very, very particular about our uh, data sovereignty, which is there. So, how do we control it? So, we talked about there are regulators who takes care of all those aspects and taken care of. Lastly, we talked about we are already witnessing the wars happening across the globe, and we are moving in the age of AI, where till now we have been in the age of human to machine communication, where human used to instruct and machine used to work accordingly. Now we are entering into age of machine to machine communication, where machine takes the information from machine, takes decision and takes actions accordingly. So in that kind of a world, and where we see wars also happening in different part of the world, how does it impact overall from our country perspective, our data security perspective, and also from the perspective of the investments which is being made by the data center hyperscalers on the subsea cable, how protected it is from that perspective. So I think these are the key which we discussed, and I hope this discussion has been meaningful. I found it very interesting. That's the reason I am not expert in subsea cable, but this topic was very, very interesting and attractive. So I thought and took the proud to moderate this session. So with that, I would like to thank all of you for patience hearing, and wish the great evening here and enjoy the day. Thank you. And thanks our panelists for your valuable inputs.